Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. If you're like me and you live in Greater Sydney, you're probably in lockdown right now. So this week's video is dedicated to things you need to focus on in lockdown. Let's do it. So, lockdown. What does lockdown mean for you in business? Well, the reality is for some, your business will come to a grinding halt, or for others, it will just completely stop. Not everyone's in this boat, but I guess the thing is, you're probably saying, well, what can I do in this period of time where we're locked down? So, if you're not in Sydney, you probably aren't aware that Greater Sydney is in a lockdown until the 9th of July 2021. Which is not great because things were really starting to, boom and go, and things were starting to get back to normal. And, well, maybe a new normal, but nonetheless, things are starting to get back to normal. Today's video is focusing on things that you should do in your business to get through the next 2 weeks of lockdown. So, let's get into it. Okay, the first thing you want to do when you're in a lockdown is focus on your vision. Now, you might have already created a vision, and you might have it documented, but maybe it's time to go back and revisit what that looks like. But if you're in the boat where I guess you haven't looked at your vision and you haven't got it documented, this is a great time to go and do that. So what is a vision? Well, the first thing is, it's really what it is you want your business to be. And I want you to think about how that business is going to look in a year's time, 3 years' time, 5, and then even 10. But I guess the first thing is, what does it look like for the next, let's say 12 to 18 months? And let's get you to document that down. When you're creating your vision, you really want to, just let go. Be really free about what it is that you're doing and what you want your business to be. Don't be afraid to be emotive. Don't be afraid to be creative. And don't be afraid for those to say that, you know what, that's a really stupid idea. Just block all that out and be what you want to be. Be what it is, and it's got to be you. It's got to be you. The reason it's got to be you is because then that is what's going to create success. So, be really emotive and don't be afraid to be emotive, emotional, and creative. The second thing is, don't be afraid that this is going to be something that's going to be cemented in for the rest of your business life. Okay? The vision and the vision statement can change over a number of years. As you evolve, your vision statement will change. Your vision of the business will change. So don't be afraid that when you're creating this, that it's going to be something that's forever. It could just be for the next 6 months, or it could even be longer, the next 2 years. But ultimately, it will change over time. So when you're creating your vision, think about the community as a whole. How is it improving your life, but also how is it improving the end customer's life, or how's it improving the community? So that's a really important thing to think about when creating a vision. So that's creating a vision. So really, I want you to, guess what? The next thing you do is you want to basically take all of what we've put together here and then see if you can put that in a sentence, right? A few words, so it could be like maybe 3 or 4 lines. And when you take that, then you want to start communicating that on your website and with your marketing. And that's going to be a really good anchor point for you then to sort of go out and go, how am I going to start market myself and start selling myself as a business? So you can see, this is how a vision is so important to your business. So the second thing that I recommend, and I guess you guys probably would have thought this would have been number 1, but my second point is create a budget. Now, regardless of whether you're in lockdown or not, really, we go back to point 1, you should have a vision. Point 2, you should also have a budget. But I guess the point of today's video is that if you've got time to work on this, and these sort of things are the things that actually get neglected. So, a budget. Now, for many of us, you might have created a budget, but for some, you've never done so. So, why is a budget important? And, let's even take budget, the word budget out of the equation. Because budget is such a scary word. It's this word where it's like you're being forced to do something. Really, all a budget is creating a plan and then working towards that plan and the objectives you're setting out in that plan that you want to, get results out of. So a budget can be as simple as saying, well, hey, we sell widgets. right? And, for us to survive with all the expenses we've got, we need to sell, 25,000 of those a month. So I guess if we looked at it, we go, well, hey, it's $25,000 if each widget costs $2, well, we need $50,000 of sales a month. So that is our total sales we need for that month. And that could be every month. It could be different based on seasonal changes. Like if you're a seasonal business, well, maybe you're selling more of that product or that service during the warmer months or the colder months. Or maybe with those widgets or whatever your service or product is, it's consistent throughout the year, but then maybe at Christmas things die off. So you really want to factor that in. But ultimately what you're thinking about is, well, how many units do we need to sell? Or how much of that service do we need to sell each month? The next thing as well as with a budget is you want to have a look at your expenses. Where are you spending money? Is there anywhere where you can save some money? Especially over the last 12 months. You might have been closed for a period of time. Even now at lockdown, you're closed for a period of time. So what you've got to be thinking about is when you're going through, your expenses, and I would suggest that you go back to the last 12 to 24 months and have a look at what you've been spending money on. What are your commitments? And then have a look at those commitments and all those expenses you're making and go, well, is this something I need? Or is it something I don't need? And is it an expense or is this an investment in the business? Let's say, for example, if you had a business coach, well, I would say that is an investment in your business. But let's say that, for example, in your business, your sales have been consistent over the last 12 months or 18 months, and maybe it's time that maybe that coach isn't working, so maybe it's time to replace that coach. So just think about the bigger picture, but at the same time as well, sort of really going, well, we're going to have a plan about how much we're bringing in, how much we're spending. And if you take that, then it's going to sort of be able to sort of get you to the point where you can have a profit or at least come out on the other side not losing money. So setting a budget is really important. There's one more thing I'd love to note about setting a budget. When you set a budget, it's not something that you just forget, okay? It's something that goes on for the rest of the year. And if you're a business that uses Xero, inside Xero you can actually set your budget in Xero, and the next thing as well is you can actually have a look at regular reports, whether it's month to month or whatever period you want to set, to see the budget you set and then compare your actual results. So I strongly urge you that when you set your budget, it's something that you keep reviewing every month to see what you've achieved and to see whether you're not achieving and working out, well, okay, if it might have been that we wanted to sell those 25,000 widgets a month and we're only selling 20,000, well, why is that? What's missing? What do we need to do differently? So it's about being on top of things and being proactive as opposed to being reactive. Okay, so let's be proactive about getting things right and getting a budget set up. So the third thing that I think is really big during a lockdown, and I think you should be looking at, is staying positive. And the way we do that is by educating ourselves and by reading the right texts to sort of look at what other people have done in business, what they've achieved, and then get ideas from that to actually create that creative and positive flair for you to keep going. There are going to be times, especially during a lockdown, when you're feeling a little bit negative and down on yourself. And in saying that as well, in general, like in business, like there's always going to be those moments. So taking, information from other people who have been successful in business is a great way to become successful in your business. So I've got a few books here I want to share with you guys, okay? Alright, so the first book that I actually really love was, and this is one of the first books I read, and I think I was probably about maybe 18, and you guys can see that there we go, yep, is the actual autobiography by Richard Branson. Now, this cover's actually changed since then, and but I tell you what an absolute legend. If you're needing a little bit of a boost, an uplift, this is the book to read. And this guy, my God, he's not university qualified, and he went out and set up a really big business, and it all started with Virgin Records. Definitely have a read of this one. The next book that I really do love, and this is a new book that I started reading, and you have to excuse me, but I've got a bit of a page in there. I'm halfway through it. It's called The Entrepreneurial Leap. And so for anyone who's new in business and they want to work out what it means to be in business, this is a fantastic book. It's written by Gino Wickman, and he is one of my favourite business authors out there. He's also wrote another book I've talked to you about before, is Traction. But I would suggest that, if you're going to take a pick between the two, look, both are great. But Entrepreneurial Leap is great for if you're a startup. If you're very good at business and you've been going for more than 2 or 3 years, I suggest Traction. And these two books, by Gino, they're both great books. And the reason they're so good is that they've got some really good tips about, starting up, the pitfalls and what you need to go for, especially in the entrepreneurial leap. What a business is going to go through and working out whether you should be in business or not. Whereas Traction is more about, systems to work out how to propel your business going forward. But two really good books there. So the third and probably fourth book that I really like is Mike Michalowicz's book, Profit First. Now, this here is for anyone who's been in business that's struggling to make a profit. If you're in that scenario, and even if you're not, I still suggest you actually have a good read of it, because this book here is a book that's a really good system that will help you create profits in your business. No one goes into business thinking that, hey, I'm just going to make the same wage as an employee. If you do, I don't know what the point of being in business is. You're there to actually just not pay yourself a really good wage, but then also make a profit at the end. If you're in that category where you're not making a really good profit at the end and also paying yourself, this is a book for you. And I suggest that you really get into it and have a good read of it. So, okay, what happens if you are not a reader and you're the type of person that opens up a book and by the 4th page, you're almost in a coma? Well, don't worry, I have a solution for you. Audiobooks. And we'll give a link in the bio down the bottom of this YouTube video. But I really do suggest that an audiobook. And audiobooks are great for more than those who fall get into insomnia. But say for example, you love, for me, I go running. So for me, I love being able to get an audiobook on and listen whilst I run. I'm killing two birds with one stone. The other reason that it might be is, you're time poor. If you're a time poor sort of person and you're trying to fit everything as much into one day, get the audiobook. So you might be commuting to work. Put the audiobook in. And, if works, even if it's just 20 minutes away, well, that's 20 minutes that you can get in listening to the book. 20 minutes twice a day is, just over an hour. So an hour and 20 minutes. But you might be in lockdown, but still, it's still a great way to do it. Personally, what I like doing is actually getting the audiobook and then actually getting the book itself and getting a highlighter and highlighting the points that I think are really relevant and important. And then also putting stickers on it to sort of go back and actually refer back to that important point of the book. It's just like when you're studying for your HSC or any sort of schooling. Highlight what's important, tab it so you can go back to it and refer to it. If you're the type of person who might not like books and just might like something small, often there's some really good podcasts out there, YouTube videos, all that sort of stuff, even like our YouTube video. If you've just got 10 or 15 minutes, this is a great way to educate yourself. But the important thing is to stay relevant and to stay educated so you can excel further in what you're doing. The fourth thing that I think you really need to do during a lockdown is, and this is really important, is stay relevant to your customer, your client, your stakeholders, whoever's out there, whether it's a customer, it's a client, it's maybe your referral partners, it could be even your competition. Nonetheless, whoever is out there, you've got to stay relevant, and the way you do that is by advertising and marketing. So, you may be in lockdown, but it doesn't mean that you're dead, right? You can still go out and communicate that message about what it is that you're doing. Let people know that, hey, we're close at the moment, but, at the moment we're working on our vision. We're working on a plan. We're working about how we can make your journey as one of our customers a better one. Stay relevant and communicate. If you don't communicate, people are going to forget you. And yeah, sure, then lockdown would have killed off your business. but stay relevant by actually communicating what is it you're doing. If you're really having struggles or problems with trying to work out how to communicate your message, there's so many ways and avenues to do that, and some really good stuff online and content that you can actually review and look at to sort of see about how you can do this. But once again, we'll share some stuff with you that you can look at. Are you okay? That is the next thing that you really want to focus on. Focusing on mental health, and just not are you okay yourself personally, but also your staff members. Really, all it needs to be done is just having that conversation and just actively asking the questions, are you okay? And it's just spending time with your staff members. And it's really hard because you're not going to be doing it one-to-one. It's a really good thing to do because I guess the other thing as well is during a lockdown, staff become quite isolated again, and they're going through maybe issues they might have had in the last 12 months. But it's really important to stop and just ask the questions, are you okay? And it can be as simple as just listening and having a conversation and listening to a few key words that your staff or family or friends might have. I've actually printed off here from Are You OK, the website itself. And this is something I actually do leave around the office. And it's just basically a really small info document on mental illness and things that you should look out for if staff are having sort of mental issues or problems. And I think I really probably would encourage you, would be the fifth thing, would be actually go to a website, Are You OK, and actually find this document and download it. And leave that around, pass it on to your staff, pass it on and have a good read through it yourself. During a lockdown, during the last lockdown that we had, there was a lot of mental crisis happening and a lot of people having, very, mild right through to serious mental health issues. And, even just a 2-week stint where, we're possibly locked down, those emotive or those emotions that were in the past might flare up again. So it's important just to actually ask your staff and even yourself, are you getting through this okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? So today we spoke about 5 things. In summary, what were they? The first one was creating a vision. That could also mean updating your vision. But the most important part was documenting your vision and having communicate that with your staff. The next one that we said was really important as well, number 2, was creating a budget. And that was the whole idea of a budget was that it would then set the plan for the next 12 months on what actions and what objectives you want to achieve a good profit at the end of the day, at the end of the financial year. The third one that we talked about was staying educated. And that was really simple, just by reading books, getting ebooks, or could even be podcasts or YouTube videos. But ideally, listen and look at people's stories or the advice that people have in books, people in business who have been there and done that before. The fourth thing that we said was really important was staying relevant and communicating to your clients or your customers what is it you're doing. Having a good marketing plan, advertising what you're doing in your business so that people don't forget who you are. So yeah, sure, it's a lockdown, but it doesn't mean you need to stay silent. The fifth thing that we thought was really important was getting on top of your mental health, and just not yours but also your staff members. So they were 5 things that we thought were really relevant in business. Thanks for joining in and talking to us and listening to us today. If you really like what we had to say today, please check more of our videos out on ngraccounting.com.au. And if not, any questions or you'd like to know more information about what we've done today, please give us a call or reach out to us on our website. Thanks, and see you soon.